rouge. So that's another name for the mullein plant there. The native people, the gypsy people, many people would also gather the leaves, which grow any size from, that little size 2 there up to the size 16 for like Magic Johnson and what have you. And they were put in your soles of your shoes to keep your feet warm in the winter time, and they actually act as an odor eater. It was the original Dr. Scholl's odor eater. So that's one of the uses for the leaves. You can also let the leaves dry, like in this state here. Where is that broom? Anyway, you can use the dried leaves and you can smoke it. Yes, smoke it. For respiratory disorders. It sounds like an oxymoron, but it's the truth. But you can also make a tea out of it. And if you make a tea out of it, you have to be certain to strain it very carefully, because there's a little abrasive hairs on there will get caught in your throat and not be very pleasant. So, do you have a question, dear? I know. That was just a little humor there.
I'm good.
Say, speaking of a little humor, you probably have all heard this one, but do you know why a witch can never have a nose longer than 11 inches?
Why? If it was 12 inches long, she'd be a prince?
No, because then it would be a foot!
It's a ruler.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, right. Well, you can take that one on your way with you. So, another use for the mullein is that there are seeds inside of the yellow flowers that used to be in there. Do we have any fisher people here? People that fish? Okay, if you're very lazy fishermen, you can take these seeds and knock them into the pond where the fish are. They will eat them, and they will become sleepy and dopey because there is a slight narcotic effect. That's ever so slight, not enough that it will do anything for you folks, so don't even bother. Pardon me? You can smoke them. I don't know the seeds. You might try putting a little seeds in the pipe with the leaves and see what happens. I haven't really tried that one.
There's your
Speaking of
thing
which,
to do tonight.
what did one fisher... No. What did one witch say to the other while fishing? Care to cast a spell? Now, I often interrupt my little programs like that when I'm performing for the Muggles, just to throw in a little humor in case they're getting a little scared of me, because I'm a little scared of myself sometimes. All right. Now, let me think. I'm just going to wrap up here on the mullein. I'm not going to go on to about 15 other plants that I could. What? The other thing is that the yellow flowers that were once upon this stem make such a strong dye that the Roman women actually used to dye their hair with it. So, very strong dye that comes from the mullein plant here. So, now, you may say, dear. Say, dear. Dear. All right, then. A little slow. You'll have to speed it up next time. What I have here, you can all take one. And that's a little handout that I like to pass out. And on the handout here, these are all names of medicinal herbs that have been scrambled. And the picture next to it is a clue to what it is. Like, for instance, here we have an ox eye, like the ox-eye daisy I was just talking about. So if you unscramble that little picture word there, that's ox-eye. So that's a little activity you can do. And if you're really stupid, you can look at the answers down on the bottom. Yeah, so the other thing is, and the young lady here, the little mouse, might want to take these and go away while I tell some other stories. And take these rubber stamps here, and you can play with the rubber stamps. These rubber stamps are the very stamps that are on this page here. And so I have ink, and you can have one of these pieces of paper here. You can take the basket. And also as a souvenir, and yes, I will autograph it. I have coloring pages of myself. So we can. Well, that night she went to the well, I'm going to go right into a dirty sweat. Of course, well, children, don't we? Oh, I don't know why models don't have them like ours. All right. So you kind of get the feel of what the program is now.
Pass it along, pass it along.
With audience many times, using the true questions that were used with witches during the burning time, as to whether or not I got a bubble in my throat. Whether or not you are a witch. And I've done this with women's groups, and they've really had a good time with it. Like, do you like to sit around a fire with your friends? Well, then you're a witch. Do you like to play drums? Well, then you might be a witch. Do you have a mole? Then you might be a witch. You know all the tea. But I've done this with audiences that are muggles, and they really learn a lot about what it's like. Go figure, I'm getting warm. Hard work. Hard work being a witch, ain't it? Oh, yeah. All right, then. Now, these naughty little stories I'm about to share with you are stories that I wrote for a venue that happens in Milwaukee called Expabula. It's where adult peoples write I'll get that smoke in there. Adult peoples write stories about a subject. Might I have some water? The sludge is a little.
What happened to the room?
Well, so, what they do is they give you a theme each month, which you write a story about. Then you perform it on a stage. It has to be exactly 5 minutes, no longer. Take you off the stage. And they can be rebroadcast sometimes on Milwaukee Public Radio, UWM station. So I'm going to share a couple of those stories. Let's move it around from the smoke. Yeah, let's see. We start right out with the dirtiest one and move our way through.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The dirtier the better, because it makes you wet.
All right. Now it's not really dirty. Oh,
Naughty's better than dirty.
yes. I'm very naughty. I'm not very dirty. Yeah, she's pumping that water herself. No. You're naughty. No, Nestle's. Oh, I refuse to use that water. I think I can turn this down. All right. Here we go. You're going to be my water holder, so I don't have to bend down.
All right.
This was the first story that I wrote, and the theme was busted. And there were a lot of stories about getting busted for various narcotics and drunk driving and things, but I took mine a little different direction. Actually, I am here today to talk to you about Mother Nature's kindest gift to humanity. And I think I'm going to drop the Cockney with this one here. Don't quite fit right. Mother Nature's finest gift to humanity and mankind's foolishness. Yes, I am here to talk about the breast. Who can deny, male or female, we all love looking at breasts. They are a beautiful thing given to us by the goddess. And what men did to us, the bra. What kind of ludicrous device is that? It was said by Germaine Greer during the sexual revolution, of which I was part of it, and the rest of you look a little young to have been there. Well, you probably were there, but you weren't really burning your bra. Unless you've gone through a lot of changes lately. And that's okay, too. I embrace the rainbow camp either way. But Germaine Greer said the bra is a ludicrous invention. Now, in the 70s, when the women were burning their bras, I had just barely got out of my training bra. Now, what were training bras all about? Were they to train our little blossoms, our little buds, for when they were going to be full-blown? Or were the training bras put upon the females to train us, to control us, to tie us in, so that we cannot be the wild women we were meant to be?
Oh, that's a terrible.
Hear, hear. I asked my mother when I was a girl, why do women wear bras? She replied, so that when you are older, your breasts do not droop. My mother was old already. She was like 36. And they were hanging down, and they were little. What I did learn from my mother, though, was that the proper bra could turn molehills into mountains. She wore one of those padded bras that when you throw it on the bed, you can't tell if there's something in there or not. Fortunately, I have had another role model in my life besides my mother. It was my Aunt Maxine. Now, Maxine, well, she was what we call a well-endowed. She had breasts.
Huge tracts of land.
Pardon me, dear?
Huge tracts of land.
Huge tracts of land, yes. And when she would go to work in the psychiatric department of the Wood VA, she would wear a bra. But it was one of those thin, delicate ones. But when she would come home from work, she would release that ample bosom and set them free. I remember her in a little sundress, watching them sway back and forth in the breeze. And I remember her in the winter, when she would wear a nice Angora sweater and they were all snug and warm in there. Now, Aunt Maxine was very special to me, you see. She was 20 years older than my father. So that meant that her children were grown and moved on. And so when I needed to get away, which was quite often, from my extremely dysfunctional family, go figure, I would go over to Aunt Maxine's house. And Aunt Maxine, next time have the cap off, would you? Aunt Maxine would let me do things at her house I was not allowed to do anyplace else. Now, you can tell I'm embellishing a little bit because I'm not sticking to my 5 minutes here. But I don't think you're going to kick me out. So, Aunt Maxine would let me do things like, when I woke up in the morning, sleeping at her house, I would go and crawl in bed with her and snuggle up to that ample bosom. I was never allowed to crawl in bed with my parents. And when we did get out of bed in the morning, we could stay in our pajamas all day long if we wanted. And we might go about decorating the house, painting the walls or such. Or we might look at her photo travels from going around the world. Or we might eat deli food. She used to go to Gimbel's every Saturday and buy a rotisserie chicken. I had never seen that except for at Maxine's house, which was good because Aunt Maxine really couldn't cook. In fact, she almost burnt her house down once cooking. But I digress, of course. At my house, when I woke up in the morning, I had to get fully dressed, set the table with proper silverware, and the iron napkins that I had ironed myself, even on a Saturday morning. So it was so much fun at Aunt Maxine's. But Aunt Maxine has passed on, and life went on. You know, throughout history, there have been all types of bras. There have been the sports bras, the push-up bras, the underwire bras. Bras have been there to shape us, bend us any way they want us. I grew up as a dancer, and as a modern dancer, we did not wear lingerie, not a stitch. It would be improper to show under our tights and leotards. And I was able to dance and twirl and jump quite easily without any consequences to my breasts, without a bra. Well, there was that number of years of bondage. No, it wasn't leather. It wasn't chains.
It only took once.
It was the nursing bra. You had to wear them because you had to keep those little things in there, lest some unexpected bystander gets squirt in the eye. Now, fortunately, at the time that I was breastfeeding, there was none of this hiding in the bathroom that's going on nowadays, except when I was in Scandinavia. And I thought that was quite ridiculous, because in Scandinavia, you can see a naked woman just about anywhere, but you're not allowed to breastfeed in public. But breastfeeding was the best time of my life, but it is long gone. It is just a sweet memory, or should I say, memory. My girls are fully grown in their Victoria's Secrets. They got it from his side of the family. But I am here to tell you that at 57, I am still braless and perky. Now, I do remember I told that at PSG. Did anybody hear me tell it there? Yeah. God, woman. I guess I got a fan. She's a fan. All right. I don't think you heard the one about when I lost my red thong. Well, I knew I had my red thong on when I walked into the bar that night. No. Not necessarily. No, dear. You see, I need to back up. The reason that I had put it on, well, no, we'll go way back to the beginning. You see, I had never written a story in my life before. And I I was always told by my dear parents that I wasn't very bright, which my teachers also enforced, and my daughters reinforced, and so I never thought I could write. But there's a very famous storyteller in Illinois that takes groups every year to Oaxaca, Mexico, on a writer's workshop. Now, I had never been to Mexico, so I thought this sounded splendid, and maybe I could be inspired to write. So, I saved my pennies up, and I made the plan. Now, Bill, my guy, drove me to O'Hare Airport. Now, he had never been to O'Hare before, and he was a little nervous about me flying by myself to Mexico. You know, the drug wars and all. Well, you can't keep good health, can you? So, there the situation was. We arrived at O'Hare plenty of time ahead to go through all the customs and what have you that one must go through. Yeah. I check in, and then we sit there in the lobby of the airport waiting the time to pass until my flight was called. Well, now, it was getting close, and we said our sweet goodbyes and kisses, and be careful, sweetheart, and all of that sort of rot. And Bill leaves. I go through the gate, down to the international gate, and I arrive at my gate to find out that my flight has left. I didn't realize you couldn't hear the international flights being called when you were out in the larger part of the airport, which he was not able to go through because of customs and all of that, you know, scanning and searching and what have you. So, my flight was gone, and I was devastated. I go to the airline ticket booth, I explain my situation, I'm crying, and she explains to me that it's spring break and everything is double and triple booked, and that maybe I could get a flight tomorrow. Oh, splendid. Now I'm crying, and I'm trying to figure out what to do, and I finally decide I should call Bill, but he's halfway back to Sheboygan by this time, and what would be the point of him coming back anyways? And so I decided that I'm going to just spend my time in the airport waiting. Now, there were about this many other people waiting for a flight as well, and some of them were not dressed very warm, and the airport was quite cool. I pulled out my sarongs. Good pagan girl always has a few sarongs packed. And I started handing out them to ladies that were, there was a couple ladies from Africa there that were really cold. And then I started bringing out my snacks that I had packed, because when you're poor, you don't like to buy airport food, and so I'm eating my snacks and sharing what I have, and it was all kinds of fun. It was like, you know, camping and getting to meet new people and what have you. For the first 6 hours, it was kind of fun. And then I had run out of my snacks, and I was getting hungry and tired, and I kept looking around, trying to figure out where I was going to sleep that night. Well, now, Bill said, no, you're not going to sleep in the airport. You've got to get a room. Well, you know how much those Marriotts and what have you cost right near the airport? That would have wiped out my entire money for my trip. Let me tell you, storytellers don't make bundles. So, now I'm hungry, and I've eaten all my snacks, but I refuse to pay $6 for a McDonald's hamburger at the airport. So I devise a plan, the smart girl that I am. I noticed that there are free shuttle buses running to those outlying hotels. And I thought I could take one of those free shuttle buses over to one of the outlying hotels, and I could probably get a nice cup of soup for the same price I'd be paying for some cheesy McDonald's hamburger. So that's what I did. I looked at all of those buses, and I found one that was going to a place that the restaurant sounded like it might be affordable. It was the Harry Carey restaurant. Well, I took my carry-on luggage with me, of course, and got on that little shuttle bus and rode over to that hotel with the Harry Carey restaurant. And that's when I looked at my present condition. Airport looking. You know, sitting in the airport, getting a little grungy. So I went into the ladies' room in the lounge there, and I proceeded to, you know, perk myself up a little bit. I put on some fresh pants and some fresh thong, and then, it wasn't much help for my hair. I had been wearing a baseball cap all day, so I just freshened up my makeup and put on some nice jewels and went in to the Harry Carey restaurant. Now, when I walked in, I surveyed the bar. Couples over here, that's no good. Women over here, not going to sit with them. Oh, some empty seats. Excellent. I'll sit here. Hoping, knowing that soon, some gentlemen would come and join me. I'm a woman of experience. I know these things. So I sat down there and I looked at the Friday menu and I ordered myself a cup of clam chowder. New England style. God bless those poor people. Anyways, there I was, and a couple of nice young gentlemen, about your age, came over and they said, "Is anyone sitting here?" And I said, "No, you are now, though." And so we proceed to talk about where we're traveling and where we've been and what's going on, and I tell them about my situation. And they proceed to order food, enough food that would have fed you all. And they start offering me some of their food, and we're all taking out our cell phones and showing pictures of our children. They have little toddlers. Actually, one's daughter was in a beauty pageant that day, a 3-year-old. And so they're chatting with their wives, and I'm showing my beautiful grown-up daughter's pictures, the one who just moved to Hollywood. And so, they're sharing their food, and I'm telling them how I'm going to Mexico, and I've missed my flight, and I am just hanging out. Well, Mexico leads to tequila, right? So we start doing shots of silver Patron. They have an expense account. And so, I'm feeling pretty good, but I realize it's time. I need to go back to the airport to find a bench to sleep on. And they said, "Oh, no, that won't do. We've got a big suite. We've got 2 king-size beds and a sleeper sofa. You can come and sleep with us." And I said, "Oh, really?" Now, come on, they were young enough to be my boyfriends. No, my boys. My boys. And so, hopped in the car, and I thought, "Oh, Bill will be so happy I'm not sleeping in the airport." So we get to their room, and, I'm just a little short shit, so I just climb on to the couch. I don't bother to open the sleeper sofa. And we all pass out from our tequila. In the morning, the cell alarms are going off like crazy. I actually had a nice young black boy in the airport set the alarm on my cell phone earlier that day because I don't know how to set the alarm, and when I thought I was sleeping in the airport, I knew I'd have to get up. So the guys' alarms were going off. My alarm was going off. We're running around getting our luggage together because we all got to get an early flight at the airport. And I cannot find that red thong anywhere. We're pulling the couch cushions. We're moving the couch. Finally, we decide, red thong or not, I gotta go. So, my phone keeps ringing. I thought I had turned off that alarm, and sure as shit, it's Bill. He said, "Sweetie, I'm worried about you. Did you find a place to stay?" I said, "Yeah, I got a place to stay. Wonderful. It's great. But I gotta hurry. We gotta get over to the airport because I got a flight that I'm going to be able to get on. I'll talk to you later. Bye, sweetie. Love you." Well, after only 2 more delays in several airports and a number of other young men buying me shots, I finally arrive in Oaxaca. Little problem getting through customs with some nuts I was carrying that probably were inappropriate. hope you all have your nuts. But anyways, I get to my room at the casa. I go through my luggage like crazy. I never did find that other red thong. So to this day, I still have just one red thong, you know, a flip-flop.
That's not where my mind was going.
My mind, no.
All right, we can take a break.
Not at all.
God, totally blew my whole planet.
I was going to call you a sicko, but I was imagining a red fawn for Pete's sake. You know,
Yeah.
like, when did you take it off?
Uh-huh.
You know, okay, because a lot of people